Of May 2nd, 2016 to order. Can we have a roll call, please?
Mayor Velasquez.
Here.
Vice Mayor Gomez.
Here.
Council members Clower.
Here.
Friend.
Present.
Luna. Present. City Manager Averill.
Present.
City Attorney Sullivan.
Present.
Chief of Police Westrick.
Here.
And City Clerk Graves here.
Thank you very much. Councilmember Luna, will you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Ready, salute. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. A verification of agenda posting.
The agenda for the City Council of the City Hollister meeting on May 2nd, 2016 was posted on the bulletin board at City Hall on April 25th, 2016 at 11:50 a.m. per Government Code Section 54954.2. Sorry.
Thank you. Tonight we have a few presentations. Item A, Voter Informational Forum.
Good evening. Some of you may know me. My name is Angela Curro. I'm the Assistant County Clerk, Recorder, and Registrar of Voters for San Benito County. I'd like to thank the council members for allowing me to speak tonight. And you guys have such a hot topic on the agenda tonight, I get to have all your attention for just a few moments. So please don't fall asleep yet. We have an unusual election this year. It is very exciting because there is a lot of talk out there. And what we're trying to do is create a voter informational forum, which will be held on May 14th. It's a Saturday. It'll be at the board chambers from 1 to 2 o'clock. And this will be a question and answer forum for the public to come and ask questions that they aren't feeling that they're getting the correct answers on when it comes to what their voter rights are and what the election process is like for the primary. This is only for the June primary. This is not for the November. We can answer some questions for November, but this is mostly to talk about the June primary and what's so confusing about it. Some of the items that we will not be discussing. We will not be discussing any of the candidates, any of the measures. We will not be discussing any of the propositions. You can't come and ask me how you should vote because I can't tell you. But what we will be talking about is we will be talking about the difference between a party-nominated office or a voter-nominated office. Those two distinct differences are the difference between voting for president and voting for an office like U.S. Senate or an office that is a state office. There's a lot of confusion because of the no party preference notice that went out to over 5,000 voters in the county. If you are not affiliated with a qualified political party, there are 6 qualified political parties. A lot of people don't realize there are 6. If you are not affiliated with them, you are considered a no party preference voter, and the office of president will not appear on your ballot. But you have options. You can either cross over to one of the 3 political parties that allow crossover voting. That would be the Democratic Party, the American Independent, or the Libertarian Party. Or you can re-register to vote by the May 23rd deadline, and you would receive the ballot of your choice of the other 3 parties, which would be Republican, Peace and Freedom, or Green. Now, a lot of people have questions about this. This is what the forum's going to be about. We'll have a whole Q&A on it. We're also going to talk about the office of U.S. Senate. There are 34 candidates running for the office of U.S. Senate. It is a vote for one only. It will appear in 2 columns. You only get to vote for one. If you vote for 2, your vote for that contest will not count. Okay? We will explain that. We have samples in your packet about what the ballot layout looks like. All of this information is on our website, which I'll give at the end of my presentation. Additionally, ballots are issued to voters based on what party they're registered in, and that's because of the office of president. So if you are not affiliated with a political party, your ballot will not have the office of president, and it will be a nonpartisan ballot. That doesn't mean you're not eligible to vote. That means you're going to have every office and contest on the ballot except for the office of president. Ballots are going to start to be mailed within the next week. They are scheduled to be dropped on Monday at the San Jose Post Office. If you're a vote-by-mail voter, you'll be receiving your ballot within approximately 5 to 7 days. It takes about that long because we are over 50% vote-by-mail, so we have about 15,000 ballots that go out on a one-day period. Additionally, your voter information guide will be mailed within the next 2 weeks. This is the guide that gives you the information about the candidates, their candidate statements, arguments, rebuttals on the measures. We will also have information in there about the top 2 primary, and it'll tell you what party you're registered with. So if you don't know what party you're registered with, when you get your sample ballot, it'll say it right across the top, okay? Let's see. We do have several polling place changes because of the increased population in the county. We have increased our voter registration in certain neighborhoods. We are only eligible to have a minimum amount of voters at each polling place, and it's caused us to have to break up some of our traditional polling places. One of them, Rancho School, is a very well-known polling place for a lot of the people downtown. That will not be a polling place this election, and we will be displaying that on our website, but also at the forum, so everyone can know. On the back of the sample ballot will be the location of your polling place. So if you have any questions, go to your sample ballot, or you can go onto our website. Lastly, we're going to have a lot of information about what we have on our new website that is about our services that our office has, what your rights are as voters, information that's available to you not only online but via the web. And we encourage voters to call our office. My staff is available to answer any questions about crossover voting, about how to register to vote, about when you can expect certain things and certain changes in your voting rights. The last thing is the deadline to register to vote is May 23rd. It is a Monday. You can register to vote either online or via paper application. Our website is www.sbcvote.us, and there you can even go on and register to vote. That's it for my presentation. Do you have any questions?
Any questions from council? Thank you.
I'd like to thank not only the City of Hollister, I'd like to thank all of the organizations that are helping us with this forum. We had a tremendous response from many organizations. Some of them include LULAC, both Democratic and Republican county central committees, the Hollister, City of Hollister, Hollister Downtown Association, the UFW Foundation, and we have had at least 3 more groups that have asked if they can participate. So we're hoping that we have a good turnout, and we encourage the public and community to attend. And that would be May 14th.
Angela, I just wanted to say thank you. Thank you on behalf of our voters and our population in the City of Hollister. We appreciate the work you're doing. There's other things that your department has done that, as a candidate, I think have been extremely helpful. I got to hand it to you a couple years ago with your candidate handbooks. I mean, all of that stuff is just very transparent, very informational to any candidate out there. So we appreciate the partnership with the community, with LULAC, with both, and hopefully other parties. I mean, all of that is very important for those that are anticipating or looking for more information. So kudos to you and your department.
Thank you, and I thank my staff. They are very dedicated, and I couldn't do it without them. So thank you.
Thank you very much.
Have a nice evening.
We'll go on to our next presentation from the post-executive certificate presentation.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor, esteemed council members. My name is Bob Strezak. I'm the Executive Director of the California Commission on Peace Officer Standards and Training. I'm here to present your chief with his executive certificate, but before I do, I'd like to make a couple of comments about POST and about the certificate. Briefly about POST. POST was established in 1959 by law. It was the first commission in the United States to establish standardized selection and training procedures for police officers. We serve over 600 law enforcement agencies, about 85,000 police officers, about 5,000 reserve police officers, and we train about 8,000 public safety dispatchers. We maintain over 4,000 training courses for California law enforcement, including maintaining the curriculum at 39 academies. The certificate that I'm about to present is the last in a series of certificates that we present, beginning with the basic certificate. Once you complete an academy and a field training officer program, then there's an advanced, there's a supervisory and investigative certificate, management certificate, and ultimately the executive certificate. And a couple quick points about the executive certificate is point number one is to be a police officer in the state of California. We go through about 1,000 applicants to yield about 100 candidates. Out of the 100 candidates that go to an academy, only about 90 graduate. Out of the 90 that graduate to go on to a probationary period, only about 80 complete probation. So for 1,000 applicants yielding about 80 candidates, that's quite a number. When you consider the percentages of those who become executive officers, that's even more rare. Secondly, this certificate is a juggling act. Your chief had to be away from the office for 2 weeks of classwork. I'm sure he had to balance his personal life and his business responsibilities while he was doing so. And I thank this council for supporting your chief to allow him to do that. And then lastly, these executive certificates have been issued by Post for over 50 years. And in 50 years, we've only issued about 1,500 of them. So they're not issued frequently, and they're not issued often. So with that said, I'd like to bring your chief forward. Chief, congratulations on your certificate. Couple quick comments is that, Chief, this reflects your willingness to lead by example. This reflects your commitment to your community. And more importantly to me, this reflects your commitment to the professionalism of California law enforcement. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Bob, for coming down here to Hollister. I know that you recently actually announced your retirement, and so it's even more of a blessing that you came to our city to present this certificate. I'll keep it short. I really enjoy serving the city of Hollister and the residents here. It's a great community, and I hope to continue to do that for many more years. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And stay right there. We have 3 proclamations today. First one is the Peace Officers Memorial Day, May 15th, 2016. Buddy Poppy Days, May 20th and 21st of 2016. And Chamberlain's Children's Center, 40th anniversary, June 1st. Whereas the Congress and the President of the United States have designated Sunday, May 15th as Peace Officers Memorial Day, and the week in which May 15th falls as National Peace Week. And now, therefore, I, Ignacio Velasquez, Mayor of the City of Hollister, call upon all residents of the City of Hollister and all patriotic, civic, and educational organizations to observe the week of May 15th through the 21st, 2016 as National Police Week. Remember them for their faithful and loyal devotion to their responsibilities, that they have rendered a dedicated service to their communities, and in doing so, have established for themselves an enviable and enduring reputation for preserving the rights and security of all citizens. I further call upon everyone to observe May 15th, 2016 as Peace Officers Memorial Day in honor of those law enforcement officers who, through their courageous deeds, had made the ultimate sacrifice in service to their community or have become disabled in the performance of duty. And let us recognize and pay respect to the survivors of our fallen heroes. Chief?
You know, he said it all, and I appreciate the acknowledgement. Just one more thing. The day before, on May 14th, is our inaugural 5K foot pursuit, and it's a 5K that will benefit our Explorer Post and the families of fallen officers. You can find more information on that at 5kfootpursuit.com. Thanks.
The next one is Buddy Poppy Days. Do we have? Oh, I see them. Here they come. Whereas the annual distribution of Buddy Poppies by the veterans of foreign wars of the United States have been officially recognized and endorsed by government leaders since 1922. And now, therefore, I, Ignacio Velasquez, Mayor of the City of Hollister, hereby proclaim May 20th and 21st, 2016 as Buddy Poppy Days in the City of Hollister, and urge the residents of this community to recognize the merits of this cause by contributing generously to its support through the purchase of Buddy Poppies on these days, set aside for the distribution of these symbols of appreciation for the sacrifices of our honored dead. I urge all patriotic citizens to wear a Buddy Poppy as mute evidence of our gratitude to the men and women of this country who have risked their lives in defense of the freedoms which we continue to enjoy as American citizens. Thank you so much.
Good evening, everyone. I want to thank you all for having us. My name is Dolly DeBassier. I'm president of the VFW Auxiliary, and every year I come before you all to get my proclamation for this, and we are going to be out about the 20th and 21st, and we want everybody to take a poppy, wear a poppy. You don't have to donate, just have a poppy and show your appreciation to all the veterans and what they do. What we collect goes into our relief fund for veterans and their families. Thank you again.
Just a correction, we all have to donate. The next one is Chamberlain's Children's Center's 40th anniversary. Come on down. Whereas Chamberlain's Children's Center is a 501c3 nonprofit organization dedicated to providing quality social, mental health, and educational services for emotionally disturbed foster children who have been victims of some form of child abuse. And now, therefore, Ignacio Velasquez, Mayor of the City of Hollister, do hereby recognize June 1st, 2016 as Chamberlain's Children's Center's 40th anniversary and commend the services they provide for our community. Thank you for all you do.
Hi, everybody. My name is Robert Ferrari. I'm the Executive Director of Chamberlain's Children's Center. Mr. Mayor and City Council members, thank you so much for this recognition. Chambers is an example of a concerned, caring citizen seeing a community need and addressing it herself. 40 plus years ago, Clara Chamberlain's formed Chamberlain's Children's Center because there was a need in the community to help foster youth and special needs children. So for over 40 years, we've continued her legacy by providing that care, and providing that care here in Hollister for 40 years, which we'll be celebrating on June 1st. We've been able to achieve some success over the years, including a recent national accreditation, but we would especially like to thank community members such as yourselves for supporting us. One of the things, recently we got a grant from City Council for emergency preparedness kits and a generator and everything so that we are prepared for any sort of earthquake or anything else that might happen on our campus. So thank you so much for those funds. I'd also like to thank community organizations such as the Community Foundation of San Benito County and United Way of San Benito County for their funds and their continued support over the years, as well as concerned citizens. Many of you in this room have been touched or have been part of Chamberlain's over that time, and we thank you all. And I thank you all personally for coming out to overflow the room for this proclamation, so thank you for that. That's why you're all here, right? Maybe not, but that's what I'm telling them back when I get to the Senate. That's what I'm telling the kids, right? So thank you all so much for this proclamation. And finally, I'd like to invite you all to our 40th anniversary event, which is happening this Friday night at San Juan Oaks. It's our 40th anniversary, our Blue Jeans Bling, Blue Jeans Boots and Bling event. We have a nationally recognized speaker, Michael Pritchard, a local artist, Shannon Grissom, who's going to be creating artwork at the event, and we're going to be auctioning off at the end of the event. And our very own flashbacks will be playing music and we'll be dancing till dawn. So thank you all for your continued support of Chamberlain's Children's Center.
Thank you for all you do. Before we move to item A, the consent resolution, Vice Mayor Gomez has requested that we move item F52, also known as the 400 block, to the last item on the agenda and limit discussion to 1 minute. We want to make sure you all enjoy our meeting thoroughly. And if there's a consensus with the council, we can move that. Is that okay? Okay. So sit down, relax. We're going to have some fun tonight. We'll move forward with the consent resolution. Are there any items council would like to pull?
4.
Item A4?
And A8.
A7. I'm sorry?
A7, please.
A7?
A8.
A8. Any other items?
I just have 4.
Okay.
Sorry.
A4.
Thank you.
Do we have any items from the public?
Yes, sir, we do. I have comment cards on items 3.1, 3.2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9.
Thank you very much. Is there a motion? The motion, is there a second?
Second.
Motion second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carries 5-0. We'll move to item A 3.1.
Keith Snow.
Thank you, Council. And I heard the Marvel on the courts. So want to get to look at things.
Thank you, Mr. Snow. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Item A 3.2.
Keith Snow.
Like at that we got to look at everything on the council. You're the one's okay anyway.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Snow.
Motion to approve?
Motion, is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Item A4.
Keith, oh, I'm sorry. Councilmember Luna.
Councilmember Luna and Councilmember Clower, I believe, had questions?
Number 4.
Yes.
My question was more about the funding on, is it a grant? The grant funding?
Yes, it is. It's the
Explain.
SAFER grant. It's from
Right.
FEMA.
Mhm. Can you elaborate a little
Yeah.
bit for transparency purposes?
Absolutely. Evening, Mayor, council members. So what staff report pertaining to A4 consists of is the federal government provides funding for assistance to firefighters, to fire departments such as ours, who are understaffed with a great responsibility. Our great responsibility has quadrupled since its first inception when they received the grant. We've got currently 3 contracts that we provide service to 57,000 people, and that's in the current 2010 census. It doesn't have the incorporation of the fact that we got migrant farm workers that come in the groves to about 10 to 20,000 people, which increases the amount of population. Our call volume has increased, our square area mileage has increased, and what happened is we've got the county contract, San Juan Bautista's contract, and also the Panoche Valley contract. In order to meet those contractual demands for service, we needed the FEMA grant, the SAFER grant, to provide salaries to the city of Hollister so we can hire 12 firefighters, put them on apparatus so they can respond to the calls. And that's what the grant money is for. And it was $2.2 million last year, and in this year we submitted for it again, which was just the closing date was last month. They review the application in 2 weeks, and we'll get word by I want to say June 3rd is when they start awarding the grants, and that should be about another $2.2 million, so a total of as much as $4.4 million will be offered. And we're a real strong contender for that grant.
Thank you, Chief. And for transparency purposes for our public, I just want to make sure that you repeat that amount of the grant, because I think it's extremely important of what you're doing and our fire department is doing. And we certainly appreciate each and every one of you, and thank you for your leadership.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Councilmember Flower?
Yeah, excuse me. If the grant's approved on June 3rd, at what point do those funds come into play? When does it start? Because that's about $100,000 if we can get it started then, as opposed to July 1st.
Correct, and I agree with you. It usually takes somewhere around 30 to 45 days for them to start. Once it's awarded, we know we're going to get it. When it starts coming in, it varies depending on what the federal government does. Now, if you remember 24 months ago when this happened, when we were going through, the federal government was going through the sequester issue, it got extended even longer. And again, the city requested for a gap at that time also to pay for the firefighters before the money came on board.
Is staff working on a plan just in case this doesn't work out and we're not
Staff
awarded?
is working on a plan. Yes,
Okay.
we are.
And that would be ready hopefully June 3rd, as opposed to
Yes.
a month after these funds are up?
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much.
So if we get the funds from the SAFER grant, is that going to repay the general fund?
No, it doesn't. It only covers the period of time that's allotted in the SAFER grant. So whatever gap time there is, it doesn't cover that. So the next one's going to start, I want to say, at the beginning of June. And the way FEMA does this, they start issuing out the awards in 3-day increments. So right now, it's getting under review. So after they've determined the priority, then it starts going in like the 3rd, the 6th, the 9th, the 12th, and we'll know better then.
Okay. Do we have any speaker cards?
We have a speaker card from Keith Snow.
And on there for all the grants, especially $1,000 up to $2 million. So I would guess overlook everything to qualify people that's in need and all that. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Snow. Is there a motion?
Motion to approve consent item number 4.
There's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. 5-0 vote.
No.
I'm 4-1 vote. Thank you for that correction.
I'm
Item
sorry,
A,
who voted no, sir?
Councilmember Friend.
Thank you.
Item A5.
Keith Snow.
what the date on the what's on the agenda. So you can okay and now okay. So whatever. Have a good one.
Thank you very much, Mr. Snow. Are there any other speaker cards on that item?
No, sir.
Move to approve.
The motion for approval, is there a second?
Second.
Motion is second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carries 5-0. We'll move forward to item A6.
Keith Snow.
Mr. Snow?
Like I said, it's on the agenda. You get, as I did the words no or yes on the agenda.
Thank you very much, Mr. Snow. Do we have any other speakers?
No, sir.
Motion to approve.
Second.
The motion is second, all in favor? Aye, motion carries 5-0 vote. Move to item A7, Councilmember Clower.
Yeah, I just wanted to confirm with staff that this item was going to be at no cost to the city.
Thank you, Council. Yes, so there is no cost to the city on this. This is just to request or direct staff to apply to LAFCO for an outside jurisdiction service for water because of the high levels of chromium on the water well. All costs will be associated with the property owner. It's about 1,300 feet or so from the existing water line for the city of Hollister, but if they do move forward with it, my understanding is that they are working on a grant also, but that's going to be at the cost of the property owner, not the city. Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Do we have a comment card on that?
No, sir.
No comment card. Is there a motion?
So moved.
The motion, is there a second?
Second.
The motion second, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Move forward to item A8, Councilmember Friend.
Yeah, this is, I guess, for you, Billy, because I don't see any of the committee members.
You don't see
here.
any youth members?
I just wanted to thank you for getting to this point. The fact that the kids came up with their own.
Is your microphone on?
Yeah, you're.
I just wanted to thank Billy and the members of the youth committee to get to this point. I mean, this is a big step that they've got their own bylaws now and they've got their set meetings and their rules and everything. So I expect great things out of this team. And so I just wanted to bring that up to the public.
Yeah, it's been fun and it's a great committee, so I'm enjoying it.
Okay.
Thank you. Do we
I'll
have
make
any-
a motion that we approve.
Wait, let me ask if we have any comment cards.
Keith Snow.
Mr. Snow?
I do want to make a
I'm for the committee, but the one concern is right. I mean, on the committee on the ones, the ones 18, that like I said about report. The youth, I mean the committee, the ones 18, right, should make the report to what their voice is. So when you have a youth committee, right, and government thing, I mean, the point, right? What do they what do they want to do? I mean, like you said, Mick is saying before, Ray been saying before, you guys saying before the council, later in the council, where it's San Luis Obispo and the Kansas City, right? And states, right? So point, right? That person on the youth committee should have the voice of the what, especially the ones 18 can talk. No, because for example, he's 18, have age to vote, no. He's not youth underage, right? That's what I'm saying. When we put some in place for the youth committee, right? Like this piece, right? That they should at least have someone here, and the Ray friend, right? And you said Mickey, guys, okay, this better, right? Okay, most of you making Ray friend want the committee. So you guys okay and everything, then it's okay, right? So the point's right. I mean, to make common sense, that's a report there. So as that person 18 what the youth saying to come over here to council and make the report and what they want on the youth government thing. Thank you, Syracuse.
Thank you very much, Mr. Snow.
Mr. Mayor? Yes, just a comment to City Manager. Is there going to be some minutes from time to time on the meetings of the youth that
Sure,
maybe we can review?
Sure, absolutely. We can throw that in your box for you.
Okay,
No problem.
thank you.
I do minutes and they approve them, so.
Thank you.
Okay, do we have any other speaker cards on that item?
No.
Okay.
Motion to approve.
There's a motion.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries 5-0 vote. Move to item A9.
Keith Snow.
Mr. Snow.
Is that to the council okay? Like I said on the agenda there, so whatever you guys want to do. And one thing you guys have some comments that can government, right? You have to make sure like what you guys think on. If you guys write agenda, right? And like I said, that city manager writes agenda, the part of the council plan department. You guys write this agenda, at least one go to the county over there. They talk what their input is. They talk about what's on the agenda, what their feedback is. And you guys should make a plan, preparation, right? And then I'm praying. You guys are okay anyway. And I mean, I'm pretty speaking for the people. I mean, you guys should make some kind of idea what you guys should make the agenda. I mean, forward decisions, because whatever I'm saying, I mean, nothing there so about for what decision you make.
Thank you, Mr. Snow. Are there any other comment cards?
No, sir.
Thank you. Is there a
Motion
motion?
to approve.
There's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries 5-0 vote. We'll go to item C, public input. Members of the public may address the City Council on any matter within the City Council's jurisdiction that is not on the agenda. Comments are limited to 3 minutes per person with a maximum of 30 minutes per subject. Speaker cards are available in the foyer and are to be completed and given to the city clerk prior to speaking. State law prohibits the City Council from discussing or taking action on any item which is not on the agenda. Do we have speaker cards? Do we have speaker cards?
Yes, sir. Marty Richmond.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. I just want to remind you again that the County Planning Commission is holding a special meeting on May 11th concerning affordable housing. They have started revamping their affordable housing regulations and requirements, and I am very concerned that it's not coordinated between the city and the county. I think most of these developments that will end up with affordable housing are going to wind up annexed into the city. That's just logical because we have the services that they need. And because of that, because they're in the periphery of our area or our area of influence, and because of that, it is essential that we establish what we want this to look like. Just saying, let's have some affordable housing doesn't do anything. There's 5 levels of affordable housing, all the way from extremely low or extremely low up to moderate, according to the HCD at the state of California. So you've got to develop a profile of what you want to have so that you can ask the developers to include it in their plans. And it's kind of silly for the county to develop a profile and for the city to develop a different profile if all the developments are going to wind up in the same place. That's my pitch. So I think it's essential that that the city and county operate hand in glove if we want the program to succeed. So I hope the city staff can work closely with the county staff and basically come to some kind of a non-aggression pact between the county and the city over what this is going to look like. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much.
Keith Snow.
And there's one little topic we already mentioned, but the one thing, the other topics, is traffic control. I mean, the point is right. A lot of you email me that responding, like on Fairview Winters, right? And in the drive fast. I just went 25 today. I had a meeting over there earlier. And they drive so quick. I did not see no county. I already wrote them when they meet. And it's like, I mean, are we ever going to do a plan? I mean, that's the main point thing is the create revenue. That's creating revenue. I mean, not just get grants, right? But doing the job, officers, radar, being that radar out. I mean, that's the thing I'm gonna buy. That's online, right? I'm gonna send the corner right there, and see how many cars that go at least 70 miles an hour. Sun's up. Over there on Fairview, at least 80, 90, 100 miles an hour. That's fast. 25. I took me 27 last year. A bike in the cop. I know that bike passed the cop. Went at least 180 miles an hour because that trick bike. And because he started hitting gears and flames was going on. If you hit that cement divider, I wouldn't be here sitting here talking to you right now. We'll be dead. To the point, right? And the one thing too that I'll respond back from the school district. When are the kids going to use metal detectors? I mean, I talked to Westwick about this. I talked to the school district about this. When are we ever going to do when are we ever going to do safety, freeze in there? I know who made that dog's name, cannot dog freeze. That's when you tell some freeze with your hands up. But the point is right. When are we ever going to plan that part? And the point is right. When are we ever going to do that? I mean, the point is right. We need plans. We need things happening. I travel a lot. I went this weekend over there. The second man, same thing.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mr. Snow.
And Reed Sanders.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor. Good evening, members of the City Council. And good evening to all the folks who showed up. It's definitely heartening to see so many folks civically engaged, especially locally. I'll do this very briefly. My name is Reed Sanders. I'm the district representative for the California State Senate. Officially now, I'm now managing the Salinas District Office, so legislative purview from Dinosaur Point down to King City along the 101 corridor is now under my charge. The last time I announced my title, I know that took longer than the comments I came up here to say. So, long story short, I heard something very briefly regarding the consent agenda. I won't go into specifics as that's not allowed, but I will say it's public safety, law enforcement. Congratulations, Chief Westrick, by the way, publicly, and Chief Bob Martin Del Campo. I understand that if there are grants, specifically public safety, not commenting on anything specific, please call my office. I'm more than happy to get a letter in front of the senator endorsing and or supporting the pursuit of these grants. So a letter from your senator can go a very long way, and I'm happy to make sure he signs it. So thank you very much, folks, and have a great evening.
Thank you very much.
There are no more speakers, Mr. Mayor.
Look at that. You have your own audience. Captive, but you have your own audience. We'll move forward to item D31, City Manager's report.
I have nothing to report at this time.
All right. D32, update on the Hollister Urban Water.
Good evening, Mayor and members of the council. I'm supposed to have a little show and tell, so if there's a clicker or it was loaded, I'll show it. If there isn't, then we'll defer it.
Oh, maybe I'm sorry, Harry. Maybe it didn't get loaded up today.
Harry, I wasn't aware of it.
Well, there's your answer.
I gave Bill a thumb drive 2 weeks ago. And I have this audience here.
Do you have it? Is it here on the premises, or?
I'm surprised. I mean,
We can load that up and move to another item and you can come back.
Let me see if I can find it.
Well, if it's here, I'd be happy to show it to you. If it's not, I'll give you an update on the master plan and some other things. That's not it.
There's no monsters in our water system, okay?
We haven't received that letter yet. So I'm happy to give a brief report on the master plan update and the Chromium-6 activities. As I've reported previously, we have 2 planning activities that are going on concurrently. One is the planned update to the Hollister urban area water and wastewater master plan. And that work is underway now. We finished the water demand forecasts, and after attempting to calibrate the forecasts with our plan development, it's become clear that we should revisit those with the city staff and Sunny Slope staff. And so there's no delay, but we're not able to go forward with the projection and planned facilities on the schedule that we had originally planned. We had hoped to accelerate this, and we're going to have to wait. So we have the demands. We understand that they have to be calibrated, and we're in the process of doing that. The second element of that's related is that as we figure out the demands, we had planned facilities that we presented to you before that will help you to take care of the Chromium-6 regulations. To refresh everyone's memory, the threshold for Chromium-6 in your wells for potable water is 10 parts per billion. The rest of the United States doesn't have a similar regulation. It's driven by EPA, and it's 100 parts per billion of total chromium. So we have a very stringent regulation in California. We're underway now to do a pre-design of the necessary infrastructure and facilities to use the water from the plant that I was going to present to you tonight, to use that water, it's high quality filtered water, to deliver to the wells of the city and perhaps in the Sunny Slope service area, to dilute the water before anybody drinks it to levels that are below the 10 parts per billion. And the target that we've all agreed on, the staff, and we presented to your committee, is 8. And so we're underway to do that, and that is on schedule, and we would expect to have the update and part of the crosstown pipeline and those facilities fitting together with the master plan and be delivered to you probably the third quarter of this year. So I'm sorry that we can't have show and tell, but that's the short version, and you would have thoroughly enjoyed seeing the construction photographs that I would have presented to you and invited questions.
I'm sure this is completely my fault.
Absolutely.
Well, I didn't want to say it that way.
You've said it 3 times.
Wallace Engineering.
Councilmember Friend has a question.
I know them well.
Councilmember Friend has a question for
Harry,
you.
I just got a question about the last time you were here. You talked about the routing of the pipes.
Yes.
To the new wells.
Yes. Yes.
You were concerned that there might be some issues in the routing. Has that all been cleared up now?
Yes. What we've done is that from your experience, you know very well that we have buried utilities that we have to deal with, and we want to make sure that the traffic can be handled in all of these routings. At the same time, we want to carry the water close to the areas of need and service. So there's a balance in all of those, but we've been working very closely, the city and Sunny Slope, on coordinating it even with developers. And so we think we have a viable route that will not interfere with traffic. We'll use corridors that are already disturbed so we don't have to deal with the threatened and endangered species mitigation that we often do. So that's underway. We'll have 2 related but basic routes to present to your committee. And that's well underway. We had the concerns, and I think we're dealing with them.
Okay. All right.
Okay. Are there any other questions from council? Thank you very much
You're
for
welcome.
the update. We'll move forward to item F51.
Good evening, Mayor Velasquez and council members. This resolution is for adopting a public art policy with the San Benito Arts Council as the primary partner for community engagement, establishing funding, and review of art on public facilities and public property. Last December, you directed staff to work with the Arts Council to develop the policy. It was reviewed by you at a study session on April 11th. There were a few changes made to the draft that was presented to you. One of them is renaming the review committee to the Hollister Public Art Review Committee. Another was adjusting the term of the youth commissioner to 2 years. It was 4 before. And adding originality to part of the design criteria. We're recommending that you approve Resolution 2016-59. Are there any questions?
Any questions from council? Do we have any speaker cards? No. Mr. Snow?
The one thing I wrote for the arts, for what they do, but the one thing that you guys, I know, and you guys understand, but the one guy that ran the arts with the bench and all that, I know the one, and for the kids, I can up here on the on the 4th Street and all that too. We should make that arts, that probably let the probably for the arts. I mean that a lot of people thought of me. That probably that we have on 4th Street.
Mr. Snow, this topic is about the Arts Council, the recommendations for the resolution or the.
I know, and we're for the arts thing. So what do you guys for all the arts for the youth and the adults? Thanks.
Thank you very much. Do we have any other speakers?
No, sir.
All right.
I'd like to make a motion that we approve resolution 2016-59.
There's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. 5-0 vote. We move to item G61, report from city council members regarding their committees. Councilmember Luna.
I have no report at this time.
Councilmember Friend.
No, I have no report.
Vice Mayor Gomez.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Sorry.
Just want to report out really quick on San Benito County COG. So on the 21st, on April 21st, the COG board received a presentation from staff and WMH Engineering as well regarding alternate proposals for the widening of Highway 25 between Hollister and Highway 101. So the mayor and I that sit on the committee reviewed a few alternates along with the rest of the board, and we'll continue to evaluate those proposals depending obviously on what happens with this potential Measure P sales tax. If it does happen to pass, it would allocate significant amount of funding for infrastructure improvements, and those are the ones that we were evaluating at the county level. So we're excited to see those. And then obviously I wanted to report out as well that the Valley Transportation Authority on the Santa Clara County side is also considering a revenue measure to address some of the congestion issues along Highway 101 and the intersection of Highway 25. For those that travel that roadway, which I do every day, I'm backed up almost a mile to get onto Highway 25. So if that's successful, it would obviously help in a new design to the intersection of Highway 25, 101, and potentially the extension of Santa Teresa Boulevard to Highway 25. I also want to report out that, unfortunately, because of some state transportation funding mechanisms, the San Benito County COG Board, including staff, had to lobby the California Transportation Commission for funding for Highway 156. So as many of you know, Highway 156 is proposed to be widened between San Juan Road and the Alameda in San Juan Bautista. That's still a project that's pending. It was supposed to go into construction next summer. And unfortunately, we were in a circumstance where we could have lost the state funding for that widening. So with a little bit of lobbying efforts from many folks, we were able to keep the funding, but unfortunately it was delayed, but only 12 months. So moving the project to 2018 instead of 2017. So as many of you folks know, that's another safety improvement that we're trying to make here in San Benito County. And we're excited that the funds were retained, not excited or necessarily thrilled that they were delayed, but happy at least that we retained that funding for the widening of Highway 156. Unless I missed something, Mr. Mayor, that's all I have to report.
You want to talk about the meeting with VTA, how much funding they're talking about for the overpass?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. So yeah, they're looking at some initial funding of roughly $75 million for interchange improvements to that area. It's not going to alleviate the whole issue of that intersection, but the entire project is actually $300 million. So $75 million would go a significant way to at least address the safety issues with folks using the shoulder to merge onto Highway 25.
Thank you very much. I'm going to return back to Councilmember Friend. You had an item?
My report can be covered under number 63, so I'll
You'll
wait.
hold on that. Councilmember Clower?
The ad hoc committee for medical marijuana ordinance met earlier today, but we'll look at that.
We'll look at that.
G63.
Okay. I don't, Council or Vice Mayor Gomez covered my committee. We'll go on to item 62, informational reports from the council. Councilmember Luna?
I have no report at this time.
Councilmember Friend?
No report.
Vice Mayor Gomez?
Nothing to report.
Councilmember Clower?
Nothing to report.
I don't have anything to report, but I would like to see if we can set up a meeting with the Park and Rec Commission, and also if we can help them with the an organizational chart to their responsibilities and also a flow chart for our future parks, how we can make sure that we're all working on the same page and contacting all the neighbors and getting their input so we can set up a joint meeting that would be helpful. I think we could take care of those items first. It would be beneficial for them also. City Manager?
Thank you, Mayor. I have a few items tonight. The first one is that we have made contact with the Hollister School District. They are hoping to have a joint meeting with you folks on Monday, our next Monday meeting, which I believe is the May 16th, and we will begin at about 5 o'clock. If it works out with you folks, we will adjourn that meeting and then go into our regular session. If that works for everybody, that'll be great. I was wondering if I can get your availability for the first part of next week. Couple small items, but then also we were hoping to start our budget study sessions. A night or two is probably going to be required, possibly starting May 9th, May 10th, May 11th, somewhere in there. If there's a date that absolutely doesn't work for you folks, please let me know as soon as possible. You can email me, and then we can have Tom schedule those as soon as possible. Council member Mickey Luna asked me to provide a quick report on the Marriott Hotel at your last meeting. I went and visited the site last week with our building official, walked the site with our building official and one of the inspectors. Just so happened that the owner happened to be there, the hotel. We had a really good conversation. They are about 50% complete. They expect to be open the last week in August. That's sort of the goal right now. They have run into a number of delays with the contractor, but everything seems to be moving along quickly, or everything seems to be moving along nicely. So that's where that stands. If there's a specific other question that I could do my best to answer it, or I can get back to you. Let's see. School district water. I think the last one for me is going to be just regarding the notice that people may have received in the mail today, or they'll maybe getting them tomorrow, about our water quality. We did some testing. We exceeded the trihalomethanes. It's usually 90 or 80. It's usually 80 micrograms per liter. We tested at 81.9. It's not unhealthy. We're not asking you to boil your water. It's not an emergency. If it was an emergency, we would have said so. Although it is a requirement by the Department of Drinking Water for us to notify folks. The sort of the layman's term on this is that when we are using our surface water, there's high organics in that water. We put chlorine in that water to help make it decent enough to drink. Out at the airport, it's sort of a dead-end line, and what happens is that we don't get the amount of flow that's usually required in order to have it regularly circulating. The drought was kind of a catch-22 for us. Normal practice is that we flow hydrants in the industrial park to make sure that we keep circulation going. We kind of put the kibosh on that a couple of years ago with the drought. We didn't think it was really prudent for us to be just flowing water and having it go down the drain. However, there seems to be some consequences to that. So now we're implementing different measures. We kind of have been implementing different measures where we've asked any of our water trucks or our fire department or any of those folks that are out there when they need to fill up their trucks or their equipment that we use water out at the airport. We have started to water some of the landscaping at the airport itself, again, just to provide some flow. So we're also working, I think, with Wallace right now to come up with some other solutions to that particular problem. But I just want to let everybody know that we did exceed the limit, but we're working on making sure that it gets back to normal here as quickly as possible.
Thank you very much. City Attorney?
Just the marijuana ordinance update with Councilman Lauer and friend.
Chief?
Nothing tonight.
City Clerk?
I just wanted to point out to you the new flags in the chambers. The old flags have been removed and will be destroyed properly.
Thank you very much. All right, we'll move to item G63, a report on the status of the medical marijuana ordinance. You guys didn't know you were coming out for that, did you?
I guess we have had, the subcommittee has had 2 meetings with the city attorney and his staff, and we have gone through several current resolutions and regulations. And today we had another meeting where we've pretty much got a draft put together. They're gonna put it all together for us in the next week, and we're hoping to get that out to the council by the end of next week for your review. And then what I'd like to do is schedule a special session. I believe somewhere around the end of the month. I know we have a couple holidays there. We can't do that on Mondays, but a Tuesday, say like the 31st, to where we could have on the agenda just the draft ordinance on the medical marijuana. And hopefully after that, we could move on to that item.
Okay. Councilmember Clower, do you want to add anything to?
Yeah, so we did have the 2 meetings with the city attorneys, and we also met with Supervisors Botello and Dela Cruz a couple weeks ago. I think what we're trying to do is bring an ordinance that's about 95% of the way there. That way you guys can review it, and the public can review it, and then we can tinker with it at that special study session. One of the main things that we're going to need to work on and get everybody's input on is the where, not necessarily the what as much as the where. So we're looking forward to hearing everybody's opinion on that, and it's been interesting to kind of hear the interest from people in the industry. There's a lot of interest in actually getting something started down here, so I think that conversation is going to be good the next couple weeks, and hopefully my hope is maybe by mid-July or end of June that we'll have something on the books.
Okay. Thank you very much. I see a lot of faces looking at that. The state is going to implement the new year if it passes in November, state laws. So basically we have to be prepared before the state tells us what we have to do. We need to put together our own ordinance. So these council members have been working hard to get that prepared and ready. Vice Mayor Gomez?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. And first of all, I want to thank Ray and Carson for your work on the ad hoc committee. This is obviously something we need to get ahead of, as the mayor stated before. We start adopting policies that do not fit our community. Brad, if I could ask, is this potential ordinance inclusive of the agricultural component and retail as well, or are we looking at just one component at a time here? What?
No, the ordinance that Councilman Clower and Friend have worked on is cultivation, manufacturing, which is the pulling the active ingredients out of the product, and also creating different cookies, whatever form it might be, edibles, teas, tinctures. Also a dispensary, and we're trying to coordinate with the county. I did see earlier county people here, but this was going to be on the end of the agenda, so maybe they're not here, because we would rather coordinate than be at cross purposes with them. And Councilman Friend's comment on or Clower on the where is, we do need your assistance. Should it be the old north of McCloskey, or since it is a conditional use permit project, if it is in any industrial or manufacturing areas, there will be restrictions placed on it so that it does not impact the neighbors. So that was the question for the board as a whole.
Okay. And so before you come back with this draft ordinance at the special session, I'm assuming there's going to be a full-on input from all necessary staff members, including the police department and so on. Yeah, great. Thank you. And thank you again, the ad hoc committee, for their work.
Okay, thank you very much. We'll move forward now with item Do we have speaker cards? I'm sorry.
Item 63? No, sir.
I think. All right. So we'll move on to item 64.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. At their last meeting, the council asked us to present just a brief report on code enforcement and their actions. So Division Chief Alvarez is here to do that.
Good evening, council members and Mayor Velasquez. How you guys doing? I'm here to give you an update on the Office of Code Enforcement. They were assigned to Hollister Fire Department December 15th, and I'm just going to review a little bit about what's transpired since then. So we've employed a lot of the operational strategies from the fire department into code enforcement, and we've had a lot of good luck with that, including the chain of command, basically establishing written procedures. We had just verbal training sessions previously, and we need to document this so we can, when officers move on, they could slip right in. It's similar to the succession plan that the fire department has. And along with proper training, the documentation serves as a guide. If I can move down to the weed abatement, another one of the benefits is that code enforcement officers this year were put to the task of doing part of the weed abatement process. And at this point, the letters have been sent out April 4th, and the termination or final compliance date for empty lots in the city is going to be May 18th. After that, we'll send out proper notices to abate the weeds, or the city will do it. We had discussion about solicitation last time. We had some questions regarding that. And some of the complaints that the city was receiving was the hours were unregulated, and we're currently working on that. City of Hollister Municipal Code currently does not regulate hours for door-to-door. So we work with our neighboring cities to borrow some of their practices, City of Gilroy, City of Salinas. So that's pending. Item number 4, excuse me. We've employed a public education campaign, which covers, one of the items is signage regulations, and I think that was a big discussion not too long ago. So what we've done is work with Hollister Downtown Association to formulate some ideas and do some brainstorming so we get that message out. One of our ideas is to send flyers, informational flyers, maybe in our water bills, to get the word out to all the residents. So this would be education versus citations. Citations is a time-consuming process, and so we could better manage our time. Last week we were at Calavera School during our career day. The mayor was there also, and that was a success for us. First time for code enforcement. A lot of the children first contact with code enforcement officials, and it was pretty fun. I went with them also, and we had a good time. Back to the education on code enforcement. So in order to regulate and manage our time better, some in-house training for Hollister Fire and police departments has been conducted. So previously there was direct contact by cell phone, and now we've cut our hours down by going direct with dispatch. So that's made a difference. And backflow reporting. So this was a utilities function prior. It's now part of code enforcement and has been for a couple of years. And the advantage here is that we assist with the reporting of this information to the utilities department, so they could fulfill their state compliance. I'm open for questions.
All right. Are there any questions from council? Councilmember Luna?
Yes. Captain Vasquez, I know that last year when it was brought up about weed abatement, I mentioned that maybe it's time to go out and actually get quotes from several people or people interested who might be able to do the job. I noticed you said something that there was involvement. Is there involvement from the fire department staff on this and the weed abatement?
Previously, that's our task every year. So we incorporated code enforcement. But to answer your question on the bid process, after looking into it, it's going to take a little more time to accomplish that, and that's up on my priority list for the following year.
Okay, I really would like to see that because I know that as a former employee of the city of Hollister,
yes.
I remember, the person doing it, and I believe it's still there. And so maybe we'll give an opportunity to other people to actually, if they're interested in doing this. And also, I wanted to know how many lots or what. Last year we got a printout on the weed abatement.
Yes, we're servicing about 50 lots. A lot of them have been built on, so every year it reduces the sizes.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. That's my question.
Okay.
Okay. Any other questions, council? Do we have any speaker cards?
No, sir.
Mr. Snow?
Yes, come on, all I hear it too. One thing about this, when the camper right there about the workshops, we see the workshops. We don't pay nothing in the water bill. But I pay the highest water bill ever. State of California Sewage and Water. So points right, I pay this week I was on $140 a month.
Mr. Snow, this is about the
No,
code enforcement, not the water bills.
No, but we be. What about my house? The weeds are high. I guess my champ said he's supposed to do the code enforcement, but we being at the lots. Well, no, it is. Work with the people. They can't afford it to the weeds, right? Work together as a team, a city. You guys make the ordinances regularly and do water back for years, right? The point is, right, it costs money. The guy buying used to do it. The other he can't afford a bigger lot, right? About 8 acres in the bottom of my house. So high, if it's flamed, it'd be one bigger fire. My fence be destroyed, mine, and all the way down. The vista there. So points right. So the one thing is, let's work as a team. He said worse about water bills. I've been writing letters for years.
Okay, once again, we're not talking about the water bills. We're talking about weed abate.
What's got cement and water bills? So I'm saying, what we can do as a city? What we can do? Let's help the people that can afford to rebate and to do their fields, to cut them. To come down. Let's work together as a team. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Snow. Just to recap, letters are sent out to those that have not cut down their weeds, and if they don't comply, then we go in to do it. But we do have to give notice first. We can't just go onto somebody's property without proper notice. Is there any other speaker cards? No?
No, sir.
Thank you very much for the update. Okay, we know you're all ready for the big moment, but we're going to take a 5-minute break. Keep you wait. Keep the suspense there.
Popcorn's in the back of the room, $2 a bag.
turn the gavel over to you.
Great. Thank you, everybody, for being here this evening. So, a couple of changes I'm going to make before we start, Mary. As you folks know, we have a rule of 30 minutes of public speaking per item, and 3 minutes each. So that would allow a total of 10 speakers. That's not gonna happen tonight. So I'm going to change it to allow everybody to have an opportunity to speak. We're going to change it to 1 minute per speaker. I think we have roughly 30 plus. So if it goes over 30 minutes, I'm okay with that. I'd like to hear from as many members of the public, and I know the council feels the same way. So we're going to go to 1 minute. So be prepared to do so, to wrap up your statement within that 1 minute. The longer you take, the longer you're delaying this process, and eventually, if it's extended too long, we may cut it off. So be respectful of the people that are going to be speaking after you. Thank you very much. Mary?
Thank you, council members. The item for you tonight is the consideration of a proposal to build a mixed-use development on the 400 block property in downtown Hollister at the corner of 4th and San Benito Streets.
Mary, I'm sorry. Before you continue, there's plenty of empty seats, so I would prefer if folks could find a place to sit, please, for emergency reasons. Thank you. Sorry about that, Mary.
Sure. The city council staff was approached last fall and submitted a request to the city council to request authorization to release a request for proposal to develop the 400 block. The request was released in November till January, and there was a request for extension from 2 parties. The council then directed us to extend it additional 90 days. And so we received 1 proposal on April 19th, but it's when back in November there was interest from the Del Curto Brothers group and also from the Community Foundation for San Benito County. And this proposal that's before you tonight reflects a partnership between both of those parties in 1 proposal. We have a PowerPoint that provides some background on the 400 block property because it's relevant to why it's before you today, and it provides also some background on how we were constrained over the last several, maybe 10 to 15 years. Before the Loma Prieta earthquake, the 400 block was covered by businesses. The slide here shows that there was up to 6 or 7 buildings and businesses there. Most of them were unreinforced masonry and suffered catastrophic damage from the Loma Prieta earthquake. The redevelopment agencies assisted with relocating most of the businesses, and most of those buildings were demolished. Sunrise Plaza was one that remained, and also there was a building called The Office that had a bar and a restaurant. Can't get this to work. Can you get it?
It worked.
So this slide shows it's pasted together, but it gives you a feel for what the 400 block looked like before 1989 in October. And then this is probably with most of those buildings were demolished by December of 1989. Sunrise Plaza is the one that remained in The Office, which had frontage on 4th Street. One of the things that the Downtown Association, the Redevelopment Agency, and the city did to address the damage not just on the 400 block but throughout our downtown that resulted from the earthquake was we received grant funding to develop a downtown strategy and plan. And some of this is from our long-range property management plan for the selling or disposition of this property. Redevelopment Agency paid for the study to determine whether or not an earthquake fault was there. It proved that there was not one. The Briggs Building parking structure was constructed with the idea that it was designed to have a pedestrian bridge that could connect to the 400 block property in anticipation of a future multi-story building there. Some of the strategies that relate to the 400 block are highlighted there. Also, opportunities for in-town housing, retail housing mix along San Benito Street.
Hit the button for it,
There we go. Here's a brief timeline of what happened. There was negotiations in the early 90s with the Morrow family, then again with the Barry Swinson builders. There was a vision for a movie theater there, restaurant, retail, and office. The theater plans sort of fell apart when Premier Cinema was opened in another part of our downtown. They didn't think the community could support both. In 98, there was negotiations for a hotel, and then in 2000, 2001 for a performing arts center. Every building, as you all know, came into a halt with the sewer moratorium between 2002 and 2008. During that time, there was negotiations for a hotel. It was anticipated that the treatment facility would be constructed earlier. That didn't bear out. So that fell by the wayside. And then as soon as the moratorium lifted, we were in the midst of the recession. A lot of people call it the Great Recession. And a reflection of that is in 2011, Governor Brown introduced legislation to abolish all redevelopment agencies in the state of California. When he introduced the legislation, agencies were prohibited from approving new projects, entering into new agreements. We were in the midst of updating our 5-year plan. We were prohibited from doing that, from completing a CEQA document. And when he introduced the legislation, it initially didn't pass in March. And I call that the red light, green light year, because we did certain things and then we had to stop because we didn't know what we could do. So the dissolution was approved in 2011, and at the time it was approved, it said that we, as our city, elected to become what's called the successor to our former redevelopment agency. It's called the successor agency. And one of the things that the law said we had to do was dispose of our assets expeditiously with an eye to maximizing profits. And that's probably kind of a contradiction in terms because we were in the middle of a recession. The state legislature amended the dissolution law the next year, and then they created several processes that delayed our ability to do anything with the 400 block. I'm not going to explain every process or hoop that we had to jump through, but one of them was we had to prepare a plan for dissolution of our properties. And also in early 2001, the city council, or September, they passed a policy to allow public use of the 400 block for nonprofits with the stipulation that it be for a group activity open to the public, required approval from the city, and there was more strings attached to it, more related to cleanup and so forth. Our redevelopment agency had what they called, they were required by law to prepare 5-year implementation plans. Two of the main purposes of the redevelopment agencies were to eliminate blight, assist with economic development, and provide affordable housing. And so in every 5-year implementation plan that the redevelopment agency had, the 400 block was a part of that plan. I'm not going to read what every 5-year plan said, but essentially they all identified this as a place for a multi-story building to help with economic development and revitalization in downtown Hollister. So one of the things that the city was required to do, or the successor agency, before we could sell our 400 block property based on the Dissolution Act that eliminated redevelopment agencies was prepare a long-range property management plan. It required approval by our successor agency, a local oversight board that has representation from the taxing agencies in our county and one citizen at large, and then finally the Department of Finance. When we took our plan to the Department of Finance, they said that we proposed to hold the 400 block for redevelopment for the Catalyst project so we wouldn't be a fire sale. They said if we were going to do that, we had to enter into a compensation agreement with all the taxing agencies that are affected by the redevelopment project area. What they essentially, so we negotiated a compensation agreement and that was approved in August of 2014. So once that was complete, then we were able to move forward to start to take steps to sell the property. But before we did that, we also had to clean up some title issues on the property. So today what we have before you is a proposal from the Del Curto Brothers Group in partnership with the Community Foundation for San Benito County. The staff report has an error. The proposed purchase price and the appraised price for the property based on a November appraisal is $390,000. It was appraised in 2013 when we prepared our long-range property management plan for $220,000, so it shows that there is some improvement in our economic prospects in the downtown. The proposal has two distinct development areas. Parcel 1 is on the north part of the building. It would be developed with 4 buildings. One would be 1 story, another would be 2 story, and then the 2 back buildings would be 4 story. The center alignment of Briggs Alley, which is covered by grass now, would remain in open space, and then the third parcel, parcel 2, parcel 3 is proposed as a philanthropic center. That would be a 2-story, 7,420 square foot building with a open space area in the rear. Here's a site plan that shows that it's been designed conceptually to be pedestrian in scale with corridors and walkways between the buildings and a central courtyard in the northern parcel 1 development area and a open space area at the philanthropic center. Again, this is the northern parcel 1. This would have 16 condos on the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th floors. And on the ground floor, there would be retail space, approximately close to 7,000 square feet. There's a concept for a restaurant that could also connect to the Community Foundation Philanthropic Center. This is the elevation of the 2nd level. These would all be condominiums, one-story condominiums on the 2nd level. And then on the 3rd and 4th levels, on the buildings closest, these would be 4-story buildings closest to the Briggs Building parking structure. And these would be most of them would be 2-story condominiums, except closest to 4th Street. Parcel 3 is the parcel 2 is the alignment of Briggs Alley that would remain in open space. Parcel 3 would be the 2-story philanthropic center. The proposal indicates that this will be funded entirely by a local resident, but that the Del Curto brothers will construct the structure. This would, the philanthropic center is designed to have conference spaces. There's, I don't think I could use a point. Wait a minute. Can we go back? there would be a conference center or assembly areas opening to the 1,800 square foot open space area. The philanthropic center would be 2 stories, and it's envisioned that there would be offices for other nonprofits in the community and other additional meeting rooms. When staff has reviewed the proposal, there's one issue that has been raised, and that's the roof lines of the structures aren't consistent with the adopted downtown strategy and plan design guidelines. We think, but we'd like to point out that in the proposal, the request for proposal, we weren't looking for design plans that would be submitted to the Planning Commission. We're looking for more conceptual. We think this can be worked out when this project goes to the Planning Commission to ensure that it conforms to the downtown strategy and plan. The developers also requested the use of the Briggs Building parking structure for the residents of the condominiums. Staff has reviewed the proposal and has determined that it is consistent with the past visions and plans of the redevelopment agency reflected in the 5-year implementation plans. It will provide needed housing in the downtown core. The proposed philanthropic center will provide conference and meeting facilities that are not available today. It also in proximity to the Briggs Building parking structure, so that would help avoid problems with off-street parking in the proximity to the facility. It also includes indoor and outdoor assembly areas for gatherings. That concludes my report. Are there any questions? Council?
Thank you, Mary. If it's okay with the council, I'd like to go to the public first, unless you have some initial questions, right?
I do have a question.
Great.
In your presentation, one of your slides mentioned 2 propositions that were passed by the city.
Resolutions.
Resolutions that were passed about 12, 14 years ago.
2001 and 2010, it was updated
And
to allow
those were to develop.
Those were to allow the use of the 400 block for the public in the interim while it was being held for redevelopment. The resolutions reflect that this is interim use.
Okay, great. Thank you, Mary. So I'm going to go to speaker cards now, and as I stated before, we're going to keep to 1 minute per speaker. Please state your name and your home for the record, Hollister or San Benito County or such. And please remember, we don't necessarily need cheerleaders. We kind of know what your position is when you're speaking. So let's try to keep that to a minimum so we could kind of get this thing flowing and allow as much public testimony as possible. The city clerk's going to call 3 names at a time, so please come and speak. The other 2, please get in line and get ready to speak your 1 minute. Thank you.
Phil Fortino, Julie Vieira, and Marty Richmond.
Should I defer to Marty Richmond?
Sounded like Marty.
Phil Fortino, San Benito County resident. Just to let everybody know that this council put out the RFP for this building and this project, and it meets all the project goals, and it's approved by staff. We recommend that the council approve as well. Deciding on this proposal only tonight, that lot has been empty for 30 years, and it's been useful to some degree, but nothing that's going to bring anything back to downtown that's going to revitalize downtown. This is going to bring tax revenue to the city. This is a community gathering space that's included in the proposal with the Community Foundation's building. Also a rooftop event center to bring more people downtown. The people that are coming to this facility and that are supporting the nonprofits are exactly the people that you want in downtown Hollister to spend money and frequent the businesses that are there. 9,000 people utilized a facility much like this last year in Santa Cruz County. I'd like to see a show of hands. Who's in favor of this project?
Thank you, Phil.
Thank you.
Julie Vieira, San Benito County Chamber of Commerce CEO. I know that there's us and them, or them and us here, so I'm sure that you're going to get a lot of information tonight. I just want everybody to know there isn't us and them, there's us. And this is San Benito County, it's downtown Hollister, it's what is good for our community. If your side doesn't win or our side doesn't win, it doesn't mean that we all can't work together to get a good project for downtown. I know you're going to get a lot of information from both sides, so I just want everybody to keep an open mind and think about what is good for the community and what we need and what will bring more people downtown that will be here each and every day. Not just come for one event here and one event there. So that's all I have to say. I know others have a lot more to say, so thank you.
Good evening, Marty Richmond from Hollister. We've seen with the RDA money thrown into the downtown that just throwing money and building buildings doesn't do it. You have to put them in for the right reason, and they have to have the right function. And what we really need here, and it could go, I have no objection to a building or a development on that site, but what we really need is for the inside to be designed as an event center. Not any particular event, but an event center, including covered event areas, large covered event areas, so everybody can use them for events. This is an event-driven society we live in. Everybody points out the successful Leal. He has events. And other people who have events. Everybody goes to events. That's where they spend their money. Weddings are big events, and all other kinds of things that can be done in this area. But it won't be done if it's broken up into tiny little retail spaces inside all over the place. So I support the cafe concept. I think we should open up one of those floors for events. Thank you.
Cassandra Sanchez, Isla Foley, and Christine Breen.
You can go in any order you want. Just state your name and city, please.
State your name, please.
My name is Isla Foley. I was born and raised in Hollister and recently moved back to San Benito County to start a downtown business. I'm requesting that the community be given an opportunity to present a viable alternative to the 400 block development. I suggest this come in the form of a committee of community members to oversee a design competition and possibly partner with some of the world-class universities that we have in the area. I also propose that a timeline be set to ensure a proposal can be presented in a timely manner to keep the community momentum and support. I hope you will choose to support beautiful, functional, and accessible green spaces here in downtown Hollister. Thank you.
Good evening, council members. Christine Breen. I live in San Benito County. Local government is a platform for building prosperous places. You demonstrated courage, vision, and leadership when you invited this proposal and any proposal for the 400 block back in November. And we ask you to demonstrate that same courage, vision, and leadership tonight and approve this proposal. We're fortunate to have this unique opportunity that is being developed by local residents who live here and work here, who have a stake in this community and reflect our community values. We are fortunate that the project offers a home to the Community Foundation for San Benito County, which truly is a foundation for our community and funds so many of our essential nonprofits here in the community. We are fortunate that open space is abundant in San Benito County. And a vote for this project is not a vote against open space. It's a vote for a more vibrant space and therefore a more vibrant community. Thank you.
name's Cassandra Sanchez. I'm a resident of Hollister for 16 years. I've sent each of you a personal letter indicating my reasons why we should not put this building forward. The 400 block of Hollister is a perfect location for our community to gather during times such as the Farmers Market, the Motorcycle Rally, National Night Out, the Lights On Parade, the Saddle Horse Parade, Homecoming Parade, Veterans Parade, the upcoming Hollister Police 5K Pursuit, and all of the other events that we host. Last week, I saw an entire class from the Briggs building utilizing the space for their class projects. Our downtown needs a public place accessible to all, not just nonprofits and the few community people who might live there and sleep there between their commutes out of our town. We need a small park for our children to play, picnic benches for families and seniors to meet, trees to beautify our downtown, and a public stage area for the amazingly talented youth and musicians who perform at our Hollister Fine festivals. A downtown open public space such as those in Paso Robles, Morgan Hill, Los Gatos will come together and shop and eat in our restaurants within walking distance.
Thank you.
Marilyn Ferreira, Brenda Weatherly, Tim Foley.
Marilyn Ferreira, San Benito County, a realtor here for 44 years. I've seen this town grow, but I haven't seen an economic base develop. We need the businesses back on that property. We need that housing. It is your civic responsibility to uphold the intent of your own RFP and the general plan to revitalize downtown. This is very important and foster economic development. We're the only community in this area that really doesn't have a large economic base. You go into Los Banos, they have a higher tax base than we do. I appreciate your time, but this is what you wanted. We're giving it to you. I'm a member of the Community Foundation, and I hope you'll allow this wonderful opportunity to come to fruition. Thank you.
Hi, Brenda Weatherly, the Executive Director of the Hollister Downtown Association. I'm here to read the board statement. The Board of the Hollister Downtown Association is in support of the development of the 400 block on San Benito Street. This block has historically been home of several buildings with retail and hospitality uses, generating property tax and sales tax revenues for the city and county. This is one of the few remaining properties that has not been redeveloped after damage from the 1989 earthquake and subsequent fires. And although it has been put to good use during the interim, it remains a blighted site that is not being used to its fullest potential. In 1991 and in 2008, the downtown strategy plans both identified the property for strategic development. We believe development of this site would be an asset to our downtown and encourage the city to move forward in this direction, with the resolution creating an exclusive negotiating agreement with the Del Cordo brothers for this purpose. Thank you.
Good evening, Tim Foley. I live in the county. I want to speak in favor of keeping the 400 block in open space. It was my pleasure to work for 13 years downtown as county superintendent. My family has opened in the last year 2 businesses in the historic downtown area. We are committed to that, and we participate fully in the downtown activities. I want to point out that going through the country in the last couple of years, I've seen wonderful town squares in Galena, Illinois, and Lebanon, Tennessee, and these places are cultural assets. I want to invite you to have an opportunity to present a gathering place in San Benito County in Hollister that we can all share rather than just a mediocre building. You know, let's have something special.
Gordon Machado, Rochelle Escamilla, and Eleanor Escamilla.
Good evening. 1989 Loma Prieta earthquake. 20-plus buildings went down on the 400 block. A variety of stores included men, women clothing, restaurants, stationery, fabric, ice cream, leather, jewelry, and shoe repair, to name a few. Within a month, the land was leveled by all debris. The Federal Emergency Management Agency offered a parking garage in coordination with a proposed commercial complex that was in negotiations with a local family. fairly similar to what is before you tonight. After a couple of years, there's still no negotiation. FEMA said, give us the 10% of the cost of construction and we'll pay 90%, and they left town. The law was the Dust Bowl for the next 8 years till it was grasped by the Hollister Independent Rally Committee. 2008 or 9, the city requested an accept proposal, very similar to tonight. The proposal failed because the economy dumped. It has been 27 years with no property tax and no sales tax generated by the business.
Thank you, Gordon.
It's fully funded.
Thank you.
And please give us 27 years.
My name is Rochelle Escamilla, and I'm in San Benito County. The 1991 strategic plan, which proposes redevelopment, is outdated, and the concepts for downtown rejuvenation process have changed in cities across America. Downtowns are encouraging placemaking and community gathering and open spaces. There's precedent for plazas and parks to be a rejuvenation center and an economic base, as people have been asking for downtown. I have with me 400 signatures gathered in 36 hours, not to mention the poll that was put out on the freelance, which shows that most of the constituents are in favor of keeping the 400 block an open space. And we will continue to gather signatures and continue to show you that the constituents of Hollister, of downtown Hollister and San Benito County, want to have an open space and want a different plan for Hollister, not the same plan that was developed in 1991, not the old ideas. Let's move forward, and let's move forward with green space.
I'm Eleanor Escamilla, and I've been born and raised in this town. And as a citizen of this town, I support the 400 block. Not only is that as a citizen, it is our block. And we want to utilize that block and keep it green. We have a lot of activities that we use that for. And Sunday we had some bikers come in, and they said that they stopped because they seen the green lawn and it was welcoming. And that's what we need for our community, a welcoming, that people could stop and have lunch and participate in gatherings. And I think it's important that we keep it green, so please don't be mean. Thank you.
Angel Leo, Lilia Lingelfelter, and Sarah Frias.
Hello, my name is Angel Leal, and I am a Hollister resident. And as a member of the youth committee, I honestly believe that 400 block is more meant for children, and making a building won't exactly help making more youth activities in Hollister. Because at the moment, we don't exactly have much for the youth to do. And if possible, if we're going to make anything, probably a plaza would be nice. With youth activities, probably music for children who would like to dance, or we could do art activities, something that could help the children have something to do. And basically the whole, how do I put it, people of Hollister. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Sarah Frias. I am a lone resident of Hollister. My children were born here. My parents, after World War II, moved to San Benito County. So we're being here, and my great-grandparents were here since years before Hollister, when it used to be Rancho San Justo. So here I would like to present to you a drawing from a 5-year-old child, where you can see a stay off from the grass. That's his writing. And his drawing reflects not to the building and to keep our green spaces. Green open spaces has been shown year after year, research after research. They help to develop children's community, and more important, sustainable communities where people can gather together, can have art centers, art spaces for people to show. We had the farmers market there. We've been having movies under the star. We've been having so many events mentioned here tonight. So we really need to keep our green open spaces. And I hope so as a constituent representing so many, you come down, especially in election year.
Thank you.
Leanne Oliveira, Roland Resendiz, and Christopher Sweeney.
Hi, my name is Leila Lingenfelter, and I live in the city of Hollister. And I believe that the Community Foundation and other local retail stores moving to a new building on the 400 block will only leave other empty buildings downtown in their wake. More windows to hang signs on saying this building's not empty, it's full of potential. The 400 block has been an open public space for so many years that the community has an expectation of continued public use. The amount of support that Save the 400 block has gained just in the past few days should be enough for the City Council to take pause and give this issue more review. Where was the community outreach to engage public input? Putting out an RFP? The RFP was in English only for a population with a high Spanish-speaking percentage. Opening an RFP because the City Council was approached by a developer left the community completely out of the equation. Do you represent the developers, or do you represent the community that elected you?
Leanne Oliveira, a longtime resident. My dad went to high school here. I love Hollister. I'm very involved. I understand where all the nonprofits are coming from. I support the HDA Community Foundation for sure. But I just think there are so many vacant buildings in Hollister, and I think those can be recycled and made a lot more useful than what we have. The green space can be utilized, as many have said about music, but there's also food truck wars we can invite in. There's a lot of ideas that the youth of Hollister have, 20s, 30s, or 30-year-olds, that go downtown and enjoy it. Those of us that like history, we appreciate the character that Hollister has and offers us. I think if we put that block there, it would just make us little San Jose, and I can't stand the idea. So thank you.
I'm Christopher Sweeney. I've called San Benito County home ever since I came back from Iraq and fell in love with the Hollister girl. And I've heard a lot of talk about revitalizing the community, and I don't think that what we need is more commercial real estate. We've got plenty of that downtown. A lot of it's sitting empty. Businesses are able to start up in Hollister, and they don't last very long. We don't have a shortage of commercial real estate. We have a shortage of consumers, and I think that utilizing the 400 block as a park, maybe a little landscaping, some seating, it's within convenient walking distance of many downtown businesses and would serve as a focal point in its own right to attract more customers and keep them downtown so that they can help the businesses that are already downtown grow and allow new ones to open up. Thank you.
Good evening, Roland Resendiz from Hollister, California. I just want to point out that the nonprofits and community foundation deserve all the respect and recognition in the world. Nobody is negating the fact that they do good work in our community and they provide wonderful services. The issue at hand is the location in which they want to build their philanthropic center. I feel that recently the city had already committed to moving forward to a more pedestrian-friendly environment. You guys are trying to increase the foot traffic by repaving the streets and making the community, like I said, more pedestrian-friendly. I think it's a little bit contradicting of you to put a humongous building right on that corner rather than an open space plaza area with a stage. And I also want to remind you that when issues like this come up and you have this many people come out here to speak in front of you, we're the people that elected you to be our voice and to represent us as your constituents. So I'm asking you tonight to please listen to us, not the people that you work with on a daily basis, but the people that care about these issues. And we're telling you, if you put a plaza, we will come down there and help to stimulate the economic situation downtown. Thank you.
Cesar Flores, Kathy Flores, and Celeste Toledo. Taking them in order, Keith.
and the council. My name is Cesar Flores. I live in San Juan Bautista now. I lived in Hollister for about 28 years. And I'm the president of the local LULAC chapter. And I want to go for the record that LULAC is supporting the project on 400 block.
Thank you, Kathy. And hold on one second. I think we may have a problem with the mic. Though we did hear you, Kathy. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Celeste Toledo Bocanegra. I was born and raised here in Hollister. I grew up, my family lived here as well. And I feel it's crucial that we keep our 400 block in public use. It's such a beautiful piece of land to bring our community together for public events. And like everyone else has said, the many different events that we've had. And I go more into this issue because I live more on the west side. So when I come downtown to Farmers Market or all our other events, I feel like I bring myself and my family together with the rest of the community who live maybe from Richmart or further down where the new homes are being built in further down. So I know Carson Clower, your family is deeply known for real estate and KNS. Victor Gomez, which is your mother's my neighbor, which I love dearly. And our mayor and Mickey Luna, you went to school with my aunt. So please consider it. Thank you, everyone.
Derek Del Curto, Jason Noble, and Esther Curtis. I think it's Curtis. Thank you.
Hello, Derek Del Curto. I'm one of the developers in approval of this project. I want to thank you for having me up here. I just want to bring to your attention, you guys have requested an RFP, and we followed your guidelines, and you've approved that. And I don't know if anybody else here have submitted an RFP like we have. And that's where we're at this point. The green area has not revitalized downtown. And I believe housing will revitalize downtown the way we have it designed. We built the building on the corner of 7th and East Street. People are living there. They're going to come down and support the businesses downtown. The south end of downtown's doing fine. Don't we want the same to continue to the north end of town? And I'm just requesting for your vote for approval of this project. Thank you.
Jason Noble, Traspinos. I'm kind of wishing I'd have typed this. I've known the Del Curtos for over 34 years. Their reputation as quality builders in the community is without reproach. Unlike the courthouse, they are local builders. They'll use local subcontractors. This is and has always been downtown commercial property. The city has never rezoned it or inferred that this land would stay as a lawn area. The proposal submitted presents a tremendous opportunity for the city of Hollister, its downtown, and its residents. I applaud our citizens for coming out tonight and expressing their concerns and opinions, but believe the true question here tonight is if you believe the proposal before you is worthy of the location, not if the location should remain vacant. Our community has invested millions of dollars in the restoration of the Veterans Memorial Building and the grounds in front of it. We have many parks, schools, baseball fields, deemed public open space, with more to come in the future. Please take all the positive comments, economic, socio-economic benefits, job opportunities, and continued success and revitalization of our downtown Hollister when deciding about this project tonight. I ask for your support.
Good evening. My name is Esther Curtis, and I'm the Executive Director for CASA of San Benito County. Our agency serves foster children from this community. CASA has been a tenant of the Community Foundation for 5 years. As a small nonprofit agency, we consider ourselves very lucky to be a tenant of the foundation. We've been able to have access to support and resources specifically for nonprofits. Having a larger nonprofit center will allow more agencies, especially smaller nonprofits, to have the same benefits and resources that we have. Before we moved in with the Community Foundation, we had to find a conference center that would allow us to have and conduct advocate training. CASA training is 6 weeks long, 2 evenings per week, and I can tell you from experience, it's hard to find access. At the Community Foundation, the conference rooms will be available when they are allowed to build this nonprofit center. But the Community Foundation, thank you.
Kay Felice, Pauline Valdivia, and Norma. Thank you, Norma Rendon.
Good evening, council members. My name is Kay Felice, and I live in San Benito County. How often does an opportunity like this present itself to a town like ours? We have an offer from a local donor, someone who lives here. He's a first-class builder, a world-class builder. He's built high-caliber buildings all over the United States, and he's willing to invest in our downtown in Hollister. The kind of building he's looking at can be a cornerstone building, can be a signature building, and will be. It will be open to all. Marty Richmond talked about the need for an event center. The top level of the philanthropic building is an open air. It will be open for nonprofits, for the public, for anyone that wants to have any kind of a social or a party or an open house. So it's available to the entire community. It is for nonprofits and it is a philanthropic center, but it's open to everyone. And there is outside space, so please consider it. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Norma Rendon. I've lived here for 22 years. I own a business downtown, and I am to keep the green area. And the reason being is I see everything across the street because I do own a business across the street. It's good for community events. We use it for the bike rally. The farmers market is constantly busy over there. We have community events over there. We have Walk in Her Shoes over there. They meet there. The fire department practices over there. The Gavin colleges, kids go out there to rest, do drawings. I think we can come to a compromise. I don't think we need more office buildings. If you walk downtown, there's like 15 office buildings that are empty. I think those can be utilized by the nonprofits. I know the nonprofits people cannot have a say-so probably in this because if they do say something against it, they might lose the donations. But my thing is, I think we can come to a better compromise where we all meet together. I mean, I just barely heard about this like 2-3 days ago, and that's why I'm here. But I'm for it, so that's my saying. Thank you.
Good evening, City Council members. Pauline Valdivia, 700 C Street in Hollister. I'm here to support the proposed 400 block project. I have seen the outline plans, and they look wonderful. I think they're great. Being that mixed use is one of the priorities of downtown, this project would be a perfect fit. I'm here to speak on behalf of the Community Foundation. The plan is to build a philanthropy center for the community. The philanthropy center will benefit the community tremendously. The center will be a keystone development. It would also be a hub for charitable giving for this community, and it would also help stimulate new economic development. This is so important for the city of Hollister, growth for jobs and housing, which is greatly needed. Given the fact that the Community Foundation has received a large donation to fund this project, it makes it more feasible for the project to be built. Again, I urge you to approve this project by making your approval you adhere to the needs of the community. Thank you very much.
Valerie Smith, Keith Snow, Bob Tiffany.
Good evening. I am Valerie Smith, and I live in the county of San Benito. I am speaking in favor of this project. I think it would beautify that corner. It adds a housing element that we're in desperate need of, and the more people that come to come from San Jose and other areas looking for housing, this is going to be beneficial. It also has the open space element in it, so that's really nice. Plus, we have a lot of parks and other open space in the area that should be utilized. Thank you.
Hello, Council. Kiss now. I vote for the green space. No, I vote for the green space online. For a fact is, earlier when the guy before the last meeting, before, let's bring back the table with that arch. Let's bring that back. Bring back the table. You guys unchained it. Let's unlock it. Unleash it. Let's bring back the green space. We had too many houses. Sorry, Marty. No, I mean the point that's good. We talk about in a way, but let's make over green space. Let's have the kids, at the arts, at the teachers. We need the entertainment for kids in the leatherback. I mean, over the bricks bill. Bring back for the people. Thank you.
Good evening, Bob Tiffany, San Benito County resident, City of Hollister business owner. We've been waiting almost 30 years for this project, watching Mary's presentation, and my life was passing before my eyes. I love green space as much as the next person, but what we really need is a vibrant, economically viable downtown. This is the project that will bring that, finally, after 30 years. The reason why we need this project is so we can get rid of these vacant buildings. We need something that will bring people downtown. This is the perfect project, multi-use, retail, residential, philanthropic center. If you walk away from this project, we will be waiting probably another 30 years. Please support this. Thank you.
Megan Hurtado, Fernando Gonzalez, and Kathina Sheta? Thank you.
Hello, my name is Megan Hurtado, and I'm a family nurse practitioner, mother of 3 young children, and wife of a Hollister native. I oppose development of the 400 block into a commercial structure. I'm in favor of maintaining an existing green space. As a healthcare professional and as a mother raising a family, I think about health in almost everything I do. The way we design and build our neighborhoods can affect both our physical and mental health. In this time of rising obesity rates and fewer opportunities to be outside, we must be thoughtful about the impact of building. Hollister downtown seems to be improving its health with more connectivity of pedestrian walkways and street crossing safety features at present, which comes at a critical time as the overall health outcomes of San Benito County measured at 24 out of 57 for California's counties in 2016, down 14 points from its seat at 10 out of 57 in 2015. Studies show that living in neighborhoods with open spaces, I gave it a shot. I'm all for the green space and for more outdoor spaces for our community.
Brad, can you? Thank you. It wasn't you, Athena.
Hi, my name is Kathina Cito, and I have a shop in downtown Hollister. I did a little research on what can help create a prosperous downtown. I read that successful downtowns have successful partnerships, attracting businesses, organizations that benefit the town, supports entrepreneurship, permanent attractions like arts. It has mixed-use buildings, and all of that can increase daily foot traffic. From the assessor's office, the data states that the last 10 years, real estate in downtown has plummeted 30%. Not too many are enthused about investing here in downtown, which means big loss in property tax, sales tax, community feel, and less foot traffic. I looked up the Community Foundation's mission and see that they are dedicated to building a stronger community and enhancing the quality of life in San Benito County through the support of philanthropic activities. They believe in revitalizing downtown by bringing in local investment partnerships. They will bring with them tenants that are community-minded organizations. Thank you.
Hello, members of City Council. My name is Fernando Gonzalez. I own and operate a True Value Hardware on 1260 4th Street. I'm here to ask that you support this project. I was born and raised in Hollister, and I remember that area had always had businesses. And I know that Mary made a list of businesses. And before that, there was LaPayne's Clothing, where I got my first suit, and there was Moto Day. There's a lot of business. It's always been a business area. And right now, this is a tremendous opportunity for us, that a developer would want to build in the downtown and to have that mixed use, the housing. And we have a donor that is willing to put up a building and give it to the community for community use. That's never happened. That's unprecedented in our community, and we should take advantage of it. And I just want to add one thing, is that those people who want the open space, I would welcome you to get together and get organized and come to the Community Foundation. We will help you with that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Andrew Williams, Pam Matriciano, and hold on, and Michelle West.
Good evening, Andrew Williams, county resident. If it's not broken, don't fix it. We need to fix what's downtown already, south of the 400 block. Keep the green area green. Bring in a plaza for the people to use. That's what the residents are looking for. I just feel like this is deja vu with the two Tonys and the backdoor shenanigans they did back in the day with the new development. I just feel that this is the same thing, that something's going on. Too bad, so sad. But anyways, let's move forward, revamp this, look at this again. Don't do this tonight. This is just bad. I feel, despite my voice is like that, I just feel it's really bad. I don't think it's a good idea what you're doing. Fix what's down there first. Kevin Costner, Field of Dreams. If you build it, they will come. A plaza. Thank you.
Good evening, City Council. My name is Pam Matriciano. I'm a resident of Hollister, and I just want to say that I've lived in Hollister since 1984. I recently retired from San Benito County after almost 15 years, and I would like to ask City Council to please think about all the events that benefit from this area. I know I'm probably repeating some of the events: the bike rally, farmers market, car shows, the Christmas parade, and the most important one, I think, is the firefighters using it for their training exercises. There's already too many empty offices on the main street and also on the side streets off of the main street, and I just can't imagine how the city is going to benefit from more office space, and would also like to know how they're going to promote new businesses to come in to fill up the new office space. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Michelle West. I have a history of working in social services and family advocacy. I purchased my home in Hollister 5 years ago because of the small town feel of this place. I'm now a stay-at-home parent. My husband commutes an hour each way, so I spend most of my time in the community with my children, utilizing the community resources. My fellow moms in the community and I have been very much enjoying the recent renovations to Park Hill and the improved sense of community and safety that Hollister is working toward. My two small children and I enjoy the parades, the Christmas tree decorating, the farmers markets, and the car show. But I'm wondering where these family-friendly activities will be held if the green space at the 400 block is built on. We have an opportunity here to even further improve the small town feel and the strong sense of community here in Hollister. I would love for us to continue to move towards that direction by leaving the 400 block open for families. I feel that constructing another commercial building is a step away from that direction. Thank you very much.
Robin Pollard, Priscilla DeAnda, and Nelda Escamilla.
Good evening. I love the idea of green space is great, and I'm really excited that so many people have come out tonight to promote the green space. I also am thankful for the Community Foundation, and I want to put a shout out for all of you that are here tonight for green space. You have the opportunity tomorrow night with Silicon Valley Gives to support your green space. I hope the council will keep it green, and I hope you guys all will support our parks. Thank you.
Is it still on? Okay. Good evening, Vice Mayor and members of the City Council. My name is Priscilla DeAnda. I am a resident here in Hollister. I am also a student at Gavilan College and work at the Briggs Building part-time. I'm not here as a business person, just simply a resident. When I'm present in the 400 block, I notice students utilizing the space to get fresh air, soak up the sun, take a break from studying, conversing with one another. The student presence in downtown Hollister needs to move towards an even more welcoming environment. Many students, such as myself, walk downtown to dine and grab a cup of coffee before or after class. Having a humongous building will make the space look claustrophobic, less appealing, and not very welcoming. So this is why having a plaza with seating would encourage students to stay, study, shop, and connect. Also, we have results right here from the online poll from the Freelance article. Over 600 people voted in favor to keep the green space. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Nelda Escamilla. I've been here 22 years. I was raised in San Jose, left San Jose because of the monster buildings and overpopulation and so forth. I love Hollister. It's a beautiful community. I love and respect a lot of people I've worked with here. A lot of the faces here I recognize. We need this little heart of gold in the heart of Hollister to stay as is so that our community can use it. We have a lot of beautiful old buildings, but unfortunately the offices are alone. I mean, you know, we need to revitalize that and keep the little bit of open space that we have so that we can keep this youth. I see a lot of young people out here. They're crying for help. They're asking your help to look into what they're asking for them, their children, who are my grandchildren and my great-grandchildren, to have a little piece of green in our heart of Hollister. Let's not lose that. I understand the other situation, but I hear a lot of dollar, money. What is it about? What is it about? People, community, that's who we are. Please, thank you, think about it.
Ray Pierce, Tom Nino, and Richard Ferreira.
Council, thanks for taking the time to listen to all of it. How's that? There we go. Billy, that's your fault. You need to fix this. I wear a few hats. County Planning Commissioner is one of them, but I was also here as a city planning commissioner with Ray Friend back in the day, when in the general plan we designated as commercial use, and felt that that's what it should be, and that's what it needed to be. And if you move in any other direction around the area, including 2 blocks this way, you'll find a lot of open space called Dunn Park. And I don't understand why there's such a need for this open space particularly right here. Also, the county's working on a program of 218 acres at the end of San Benito Street for a community regional park. Well, you really got to fix this, Bill. So that 208, can I have a little extra time on this?
Wrap it up.
Okay. So they're also working on a project of 218 acres on a regional park at the end of San Benito Street behind the high school.
Thank you, Ray.
Quit playing with it. For everybody else.
No. Here, for me to hold it for you. Good job.
break it finally? Here it's on. Okay, if they leave it like that, it'll work. Do a mic drop when you're done.
My name is Tom Nino. I live in San Benito County. I have 5 kids, and they spend some time there at the open space, and that's wonderful. They also spend an awful lot of time at Dunn Park just as an alternative. And I understand the need for the, as the woman mentioned with the kids and their activity and so forth, and that can certainly happen at Dunn Park, just as a thought. When I talk to a lot of people about their concerns about Hollister, I own a downtown business, and a lot of people go by, they mention a few different things, and open space being one of them, and 3 other ones I think of often is economic development, affordable housing, and the revitalization of the downtown. And it seems to me that this proposal is a means to all 3 of those. It concerns me a little bit with all these open spaces. How do they get filled? The way they get filled is through traffic, and especially with the affordable housing of the people living downtown and spending their money downtown and eating downtown. Thank you for your time.
Richard Ferrer, 5th generation San Benito resident. When Hollister was formed and they laid out their general plan and laid it out, they addressed open space. The last 2 people just mentioned it. Dunn Park. 70 years ago, Gordon and I, we used to play in Dunn Park. It was utilized more then than it is now. Let's follow the general plan, the strategic plan, everything that's been. We've got a local builder, a local donor for our deal. It answers economics. It answers the community foundation, fully funded. It answers housing, local housing. It answers retail. This is a perfect project. We've had an empty space now going on 26 years. Let's fill it with this and go on. We have the open space. You just got to walk, do your exercise 5 blocks to the west.
And lastly, but not leastly, Ian Hudson.
Councilman, thank you. My kids are 6th generation Hollistorians, I like to say. But my wife and I went to Cal Poly, lived in San Luis Obispo, and we decided to have kids. We wanted them here. It excites us to hear this revitalization. I hope you guys approve this new building because it brings a bright future to us. There's plenty of green spaces. You have 20 acres down 4th Street that hardly anybody uses. You can have concerts out there, whatever it is. This is a no-brainer as far as I'm concerned, and I hope you guys support this 100%. We need breweries, restaurants, wineries, whatever brings everybody out here. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody, and thank you, everybody that took the time to speak on this item. We really appreciate the community input, and so now I'll bring it back to the council. See if council has questions for staff, or if they have any comments they'd like to share. Anybody like to? Not everybody at once. Councilmember Luna.
Thank you. Thank you, Vice Mayor. I've heard a lot of good comments here today, both sides. I received a lot of emails, texts. Some of the phone calls were not very nice, disrespectful, but you know what? We were elected, and we are here to serve the people of the city of Hollister. You talk about the city of Hollister, and you talk about the history you have. I was born and raised in this city. I worked for the city 30 years, and I retired. I paid the bills from those buildings when they came down. There was 2 people here at City Hall at 5:04 p.m. I was one of them. I did not think I was going to get out of this building. Good thing my car was back there, and my thoughts were somebody would know I was here. The building was moving. The doors were jammed. And finally, another employee and I were able to rush out downstairs to the side door. When I walked out of this building, I saw the IOF building come down. I saw the dust, I saw the smoke, and you know what? That was very touching to me because I thought, this is it. Hollister's gone. I was waiting for the courthouse to come down. I was waiting for City Hall. It didn't come down. And you know what? After we came downtown, and I worked with the American Red Cross and the Salvation Army to do the surveys, to do the bilingual service, to open up the churches. I was a person assigned to City Hall to open the doors, even on Sunday, with Congressman Leon Panetta. This room was filled with federal agencies, and every agency had something to say. We're rebuilding Hollister. We will rebuild Hollister. And that was the promise that our congressman made, and we followed through on so many other buildings. My question is, there's a lot of concern about rebuilding Hollister. What happened when we just about lost the 600 block in San Benito Street due to fire? That was open space at that time. We came back, people came back and said, build downtown. We need to bring people back downtown. And I'm saying, this is what we need. Look at other cities that are building, that are bringing people back downtown. When you look at the plan, and you know what, I studied that project very well. I saw these pictures, I saw the plan, I saw everything. And I can tell you that when you have people living downtown and close to the area of the business sector, when you have people living downtown that can oversee, crime comes down. People are more alert that, people are watching. When you talk about having open space, we have a lot of open space. Look where the State Theater used to be. That block, what is happening there? What is in that corner block? I wish that more people would come up and, and be more concerned about that block. And excuse me, I'm speaking. You're out of order. So I can tell you right now that I have major concern. In November, the West Side, I had a meeting in November to bring everybody together to talk about what is good for Hollister, what do we need change, what do we want to do to improve our city. 33 people showed up. I had another meeting in March. Some of you that are saying that you live in the district and you care about what's going on, you weren't there. You weren't there. And yes, bring us numbers. Bring us the numbers. I can see the numbers. I know the numbers of the city and the district. Keep in mind that whatever happens and whatever the vote is tonight, as somebody said, we're in this together. We're in this together. We want to help people. We want to be able to help you, yes, in the green spaces. We need more parks. I'm one person that sits here and constantly advocates for parks in any development. So I just want to mention to you, you know what? When it comes to the historical part of the city, I know it. I know it. I worked it. I paid the bills. I know what we had here and what we lost. When you talk about that 400 block, how many of us didn't go to New China Cafe? Right. How many of us didn't constantly? Look at Morrow Stationers, Maddox Jewelers, Judy's. And when those buildings came down, it was the city that came up, and the city had to pay to destroy those buildings, to relocate the businesses. So the city has always been there for the business sector. So I just want to say that, because I feel that, a lot of us have a history of Hollister. And when you talk about Dunn Park, I played at Dunn Park like many of you. There was a little pond where kids could play in the water. I've always said we need some kind of gazebo, music at the park. And you know what? I don't think it's being used as much as we do use it. We have Park Hill that is being improved. And you know what? Give us ideas on Park Hill as well. Give us ideas on the park. We are here to service the community, the city as a whole. Every resident means something to this city. And you know, when you bring up the numbers and you give us polls and everything, fine, that's great, because it means that somebody is paying attention. But yet, when we've had community meetings throughout the districts, you haven't been there. People have not been there. So I want just to let you know that these meetings are going to continue. So I hope that, you know, you take in consideration our position. You don't have to remind us that we are elected officials. You don't have to remind us that elections are coming up. We know that. We know that very well. And you know what? It's not easy being here and reading agendas, 400 pages of agendas, 300 pages. This was a short one, 162. But you know, think about it. It takes a lot of our efforts to do this, and we have served community organizations. You know, we have experience in community organizations. But let me tell you, when community organizations, which are probably over 100 in this community, that do something for somebody else to make sure that, you know, that the service is there from our nonprofits. So with that, Mr. Vice Mayor, that was my commentary, and that I'll close.
Thank you, Councilmember Luna. As I mentioned before, let's try to keep the cheerleading to a minimum. Thank you. And that goes for both sides. Councilmember Clower.
Yeah, I'd also like to thank everybody for the phone calls and emails and text messages and Facebook messages and comments. And I think you'd be surprised that we probably shouldn't, but we do read a lot of the stuff that everybody says, and it's interesting. And I appreciate the interest in this item. I have constituents on both sides. I have colleagues on both sides. I have clients on both sides. So it's definitely a contentious item. And I can say over the last week, we got this on Monday of last week, and it's taken a lot of deliberation to kind of come back to where I am. And I've been all over the board, and I've had probably 50 conversations with different people to kind of figure out where I am on this. And it's been an interesting road. It's been by far the toughest item that I've come across in the year and a half that I've been on. But through all of that and the soul searching, and you know, I started at a point where I think in November I almost lined out this exact project during the call for the RFP, and during a meeting with the CEO of the Community Foundation, he told me that, hey, you know what, the community's also gonna get a building for the Community Foundation, and it's gonna be donated, which is, as far as I can see, is unheard of. So that's something that I've had to look at too. I have a lot of good memories downtown. This has been a vacant spot almost my entire life. I'm 28. The lot's been there for 26 years. It's pretty much all I've known. I remember going to the farmers markets and doing the Red Ribbon Run and the National Night Out. There's great memories there, but in my eyes, it's not being utilized to its full potential. And we have the plaza in front of the Vets building. We now have a plaza directly in front of the county courthouse. We have Dunn Park 3 blocks away. We have Park Hill 4 blocks away. These are all very close. And as a council, we've been pouring money into these things to make them better. We've been pouring money into the parks. This has never been a park. So that's one thing I'd like to get straight. And it really shouldn't be a park with its location near the busy roads. It's used, but it's vacant the majority of the time. If you were to drive down there, I'd say 8 out of 10 times you're not going to see anything going on. I work downtown. Because I work downtown, I eat downtown. And one of the big things is that when you have people working nearby, they're going to eat within walking distance. If you have them living nearby, they're going to eat within walking distance. They're going to shop within walking distance. It's the same idea when you go and stay at a hotel. You're going to go to the places that are right near you. It just works the same way with living downtown. Another thing with this, there's 16 multifamily units. Now, this is it's a new product for the city. It's condos. I don't think we have any condos in the whole county, especially not downtown. But you're talking about 16 multifamily units, which is probably about the same that have been built in the last 10 years. So everybody's been focused on the fact that it's a commercial building, but really the majority of the space of those 4 buildings is for residential. I know that I've been having those conversations with getting people living downtown before I was even elected. This would be a major, in my eyes, a major step for downtown to have people living this close. I know that some of the other projects that have gone on downtown are bringing people closer, and it's a big deal. I don't want us to forget that we have a 4-story parking structure right next to nothing, and that does not really do us any good. Unfortunately, my fondest memories of the parking structure are taking ground balls when it's raining outside, because Little League practice couldn't happen in the rain, so we'd go up to the 3rd or 4th story of the parking garage. That's not what it was supposed to be used for, but that's what it's been used for. It would be great to see that thing filled up the majority of the time, whether it's people who are living on site or people who are coming down to go to the new restaurants. I wholeheartedly believe that this is going to be a catalyst for downtown. Is it going to take a bit? It will take a bit. But in terms of what the city can do for downtown and the city can do for its residents, we don't have a whole lot of direct impacts. I think it would be surprising for people to understand that just because you see a building that's not leased doesn't mean that the council can do anything about that. We don't have any effect on the rent. We don't have any effect on the TIs. We don't have any effect on who goes in there. This is an opportunity for us to actually say, you know what, we're going to do this. This is, we've looked at the second phase of the study for the Alquist-Priolo fault lines. That's $1 million, maybe $1.5 million to go into that with just a hope that something happens after. If we move forward with this, we know something's going to happen. In closing, I think that as a city, as a community, we're lucky to have a project like this. There aren't a whole lot of other buildings I can look at downtown and say, you know what, that's something where if somebody came down here, they'd be excited about that. They'd be excited to go to eat lunch there. They'd be excited to live in the second-story condo that doesn't exist. So it's a pretty neat idea. And I appreciate everybody's comments. And like I said, it's taken a lot of deliberation, and I've gone back and forth on it. And I appreciate everybody's input. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Clower. Councilmember Friend?
I'll wait till after you speak.
That's a nice strategic move, but I'm the chair, so I'm going to make the last comments.
All right.
Thank you, though.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
I'll give you $5 for that.
You know, this is one of those times when you sit up here, and it's been very few times that I've sat here and looked at the room and figure out, well, half these people aren't going to like me and half these people will. I didn't come here for a popularity contest, so I guess I'm going to have to weigh, and I've changed my mind 15 times in the last week. I originally was against building anything on the 400 block because I thought we could use it to do something, and I've been trying for 10 years to get something built there, and all we've accomplished is one table that somebody donated, and we've reseeded that lawn at least 10 times. It gets tore up every time we use it. We have to reseed it. It costs the city money just to mow the lawn. The downtown plaza thing, I'm heavily involved in the Vets building, and the only people that use that plaza are skateboarders. And I don't understand why. It's a beautiful plaza, and nobody uses it. And there's restaurants across the street from it. Nobody uses it. There's restaurants down the street from it. Nobody uses it. Dunn Park, man, that place is really cool. I don't understand why people don't go to Dunn Park that want to go to parks. Maybe it's because the residents in that area are not into parks. I don't know, really, to tell you the truth. I don't understand. Park Hill, we've spent $200,000 redoing Park Hill. It's really neat. You go up there now, it's really something to take your family up there now. Soon we're going to have new restrooms up there that'll be nice for people to use. I just listened to everything, and I just think we can't. We've been looking at a gift horse in the mouth for 27 years, whatever it is. I moved here. It was already an open field. I've only lived here 25 years, so I know there were buildings there. I've seen pictures of them. My son-in-law worked at a place down there at the gas station that was tore down to build the garage. There seems to be an open space behind the garage that nobody. It's supposed to be a parking lot. I never see anybody park there. We have a parking garage. We don't see anybody parking in there, and the courthouse is within 100 feet from it, and people will park all around the courthouse and park on streets where they can almost get hit every time they come out of it, but they won't park in the parking garage. Even when the courthouse was across the street from it, they didn't park in it. So I think, you know, it's just hard to sit here and look a gift horse in the mouth and say this is not a good thing to do. I just don't have any way. I feel if we denied this project, we don't have a plan. We don't have anything to do with it. We don't have a plan what to do with it, and who knows how long it would sit there as a field. We're not growing crops on it, so let's do something with it. And that's all I got to say.
Great, thank you, Councilmember Friend. So I share a lot of the sentiment that my fellow council members do as well. I'm born and raised here in San Benito County. I grew up in VH. I grew up right on the corner of Gonzales and Buena Vista, and I grew up in a family of 11, and we made $10,000 a year. Parents came here from Guadalajara to work in the fields, and we did well with what we had. Part of that was access to a wonderful community. I was 11 years old when we got hit by the earthquake, and I still remember walking downtown and seeing Ravella's Gym and seeing Bill's Bullpen and some of my favorite places come down. And not that I was working out back then, but looking at Ravella's was it was kind of interesting. I did go to Bill's quite a bit though. But I think overall, you know, I mean, we have done a lot as a council. And I know the mayor isn't here, but, you know, over the years, we've done a lot to invest in our open space. So, you know, I know that once we take this vote, we're going to get ridiculed on social media, as we always do. And I'm sure somebody's going to post a picture of me as this crazy lunatic politician. Yeah, you got to do what you got to do. But I will say this. We've invested a ton into our parks, and I'm proud of that. Las Brisas Park, the Whale Park, which I live fairly close to, a lot of our parks, and we're working on the parks on the west side. We need a park in District 3. There's a lot of things that we need to continue to do with our existing infrastructure in our parks. There were some discussions on social media about this amphitheater and all this great stuff. Where's the money for that? I've never heard that proposal been brought to council before. Where's the money? You know, you can have all these dreams you want, but, you know, I'm not going to lie to my constituents. We don't have the money for it. But hopefully we could strive to do that. We have a potential proposal here that, if we accept it, could potentially be a catalyst project for downtown Hollister. As a former business owner, you know, I could tell you I depend on rooftops. I hate to see the sprawl in the community. You talk about open space and preserving open space. Well, let's do it. Build those condos. Preserve the sprawl that's happening throughout our community. If that's really what you care about, is the open space, then you'll allow the development of these condos to preserve the sphere of influence of the city of Hollister. But I doubt that folks will accept that. But as I said, as a former business owner, I depended on rooftops. I owned Papa Murphy's for a decade, and I needed clients. I needed residents. And this is a great way to reignite our downtown and our core area of downtown Hollister. This could potentially be that project. Regarding the funding, you know, I'm going to throw this out there, and, you know, we'll see what the council thinks. Even though I don't necessarily agree, and Carson made actually a really good point regarding, you know, transportation and pedestrian safety. It's not a location for a park. You know, obviously that's a no-brainer. You don't want kids in an area where they could get hit and kick a ball into the roadway and so on. So, but at the same time, I think the folks that are here advocating for open space have a really good point. We need I'd love an open space, an open air amphitheater. I think that's a great idea. I think we have that possibility. I don't know if it's at Park Hill or Dunn Park or a new location, and maybe we could find a new lot that we could develop it in the downtown area. I don't know. But I do know that we're making $58,000 from the sale of this property. And personally, as a way to find some common ground, I think all that's going to go into our general fund, correct? It's going to go into our general fund. Why not use it for the development of an amphitheater? Why not open up the discussions of the sale of this property and work with the art community and potentially develop something that we could work on together, something that this art community, this open space advocacy group wants. I think this could potentially be a win-win. We have a development that could ignite the downtown area, and now we have funds as a city to develop something potentially we could work on with our community to find common ground. So as we direct staff, I'm just going to encourage my fellow council members to consider that. Consider allocating these resources. Maybe the developer is kind enough to even contribute more to the development of this open space amphitheater. I don't know. Hopefully, he'll consider that. But as we move forward with this development agreement, I think that needs to happen. So those are my comments, and I'll bring it back to council with any questions or if staff has anything to add. If not, I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Vice Mayor, as representative of District 2, I would like to make a motion on the recommendation that the City Council review the proposal submitted for the 400 block and determine the submittal from the Del Curto Brothers Group in partnership with the Community Foundation of San Benito County and approve Resolution 2016-65.
There's a motion and a second. Just asking, does that include direction to maybe consider? I'm sorry, I'm not going to stop on that one.
Would that be a second motion or
Friendly
to
amendment?
be included?
Can we consider it as a friendly amendment?
We could do both at the same time? I so amend my motion to include the requests for the possibility of determining the funding from the general fund for
proceeds from the sale.
for the proceeds of the sale, as Vice Mayor requested.
Proceeds from the sale to do what?
To a feasibility study?
Yeah,
For a feasibility
Amphitheater.
study for an amphitheater?
Right.
Thank you.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries 4-0. And that's all we have on the council agenda for today. I'll entertain a motion.
Make a motion for dismissal.
We have a motion and a second. All those in
Second.
favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.